This video will show you how I did the hose connections for my counter pressure bottle filler. I will walk you through each step starting from the CO2 cylinder and up to the bottle filler end. I will begin with a short intro on how the counter pressure bottle filler works. A counter pressure bottle filler is also known as an isobaric filler. I'll be referring to the counter pressure bottle filler as just the bottle filler in this video for ease of talking. It's a device used primarily in commercial breweries to fill bottles from a pressurized or non-pressurized tank without losing the carbonation of the beer. We home brewers, mindful of the oxidation problem during filling a beer bottle from the keg, have incorporated it into our armamentarium by simplifying the design but keeping the basic concept the same, that is oxygen-free transfer from keg to bottle. The problem with the design is that these fillers tend to be a bit unwieldy and top heavy because of the valves and hoses necessary to control beer and the gas flow. Some home brewers have made DIY projects of making a stand for the filler with varying success. Here, as you can see, I am using an empty bottle as my stand. There is a misconception that counter pressure bottle fillers help in carbonating your beer when transferring to a bottle. This is not true. It just helps to retain the already present carbonation in the beer in your keg and prevents loss of carbonation during transfer. Having said that, many times you can experience 10 to 20% loss of carbonation during transfer, depending on how you transfer. Now let's have a look at the parts of a bottle filler. In order to bottle using a counter pressure filler, you need to have your standard homebrew kegging setup with a few modifications. The filler needs to have a clean gas supplied to it, so you'll either need a separate gas connection from your regulator or a T-fitting to allow you to split your existing connection, as you can see here. Once the T-fitting is in place, you will connect the keg's beer out line to the counter pressure filler with a separate beer out disconnect dedicated to your counter pressure filler. The filler just looks a lot like a gun. It has two inlets, one for the beer and one for the CO2. There is a valve to switch between these two. In some models, there are separate valves for beer and CO2, although the function is the same. The model shown here is more easy to operate due to the multiple functions in a single valve. There is a long post called a filler tube with a silicone or rubber stopper on it. This is the part that will be sticking into your beer bottle to fill your beer. The purge valve is crucial as it helps to purge the beer bottle before filling up the beer bottle and also helps in reducing the pressure in the beer bottle so that beer can fill into the bottle. It is also an overflow valve. It is very important that the connection to the filler and the connection to the keg are on the same pressure circuit. So the filler should be connected to the same regulator as your keg's gas in connector. Now let's get into the business of making the hose attachments and clips for the filler. For this, you will require about 10 to 15 feet of beer line hose, which is 5 mm internal diameter and 8 mm outside diameter. You will also require a CO2 gas pipe, which has a 6 mm ID and a 10 mm OD, about 1 to 2 meter. A few worm clamps and a few stepless clamps and a T, which will take in 6 mm ID hose of your CO2 and also your beer hose. I have also thrown in a quick gas disconnect quarter-inch BSP pneumatic aluminum airline hose for me to easily disconnect the setup from the CO2 system. This is not expensive and is available online in Amazon. Let's begin from my CO2 tank. My tank has a male attachment of the pneumatic fitting I just showed you earlier. The female end of this fitting goes into all my accessory hoses which I want to connect to my CO2 tank. This tube fitting is available online and I use this a lot for most of my connections. They have an airtight seal and have satisfactory good quality and are easy to connect and disconnect. To attach it to the CO2 hose, we first need to boil some water to soften the end of a 1 feet of CO2 tube. Use a gloves or cloth to protect your fingers while you do this. Put a worm clamp on it and your CO2 female attachment is ready. Now take a 3 feet long CO2 hose and connect the female attachment to a pneumatic fitting. Connect this female fitting to your male fitting on the CO2 cylinder. The other end of this 3 feet long CO2 hose should join your T fitting. The T fitting should be of the right size to connect into your 6 mm internal diameter CO2 hose. I have attached a worm clamp to the CO2 hose to secure it to the T. Again, you may have to heat the end of the hose to secure it to the T. From the T, you need to run a 3 feet beer line to your gas disconnect which connects to the keg. Here again, I have used a stepless clamp. From the T, you should run one more beer line. This should be at least 4 feet in length. This line should go and connect to your beer in bar of your bottle filler. Secure it with a stepless clamp. Run another beverage line from the beer in bar of your bottle filler to your beer disconnect of your keg. This should be at least 4 feet in length. You may find the length of these hoses to be more than adequate, but I feel it is better to have more length than be tethered to a shorter hose. Run about a feet of hose to your purge valve and your counter pressure bottle filler is ready to be used. Put adequate clamps on all the connectors for an airtight seal. Some do not clamp the joints as it's difficult to open it up again. I prefer to clamp it as I open the bottle filler only very rarely.